Go for it.
Are we rolling?
Yes, we're rolling. So, what's the topic?
We synth nerds spend a lot of time figuring out whether we want to use a mixer to record our music or whether we want to just go straight into the audio interface to record. But one thing that I got a lot of experience with as a guitar player that I don't even see the discussion in Synthland, is whether we should be recording synths going out amplifiers and miking the amps. It's a whole other area of sound design that, in my humble, limited experience, isn't getting a lot of attention in the synth community.
Sure. Well, so there's a whole rabbit hole you could go down there, right? Because reamping is a technique for production that most people don't think of. Most synth nerds, they don't think about that, right? Because they just want to get it down. Well, you got the two categories, right? You have synth nerds who work in the MIDI domain. They do their composition there, their performances there. They record that. And then there are those who do it in the audio domain, right? And eventually the MIDI guys end up in the audio domain, right?
They have to, yeah.
But destructive editing versus non-destructive editing, right, really skews the direction of your project.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. If you were going to run it through an amp, or are you specifically meaning amp with the intent of coloring the sound, or are you talking about it runs through a studio monitor and you mic it, which will color the sound, but not the way a guitar amp will, right?
Correct. I'm literally talking about the sound coming out a large speaker that requires some microphone to pick up and record. So the intention of that is to get in some coloring from the speaker and the speaker cabinet and also the room environment, which are all things guitarists and drummers and flautists and,
I would imagine that most synthesists don't think of that because it's a pain in the ass.
It is.
Right? Who wants that workflow?
Well, we see synthesists that are going to tape and reel-to-reel tape, which I consider an unbelievable ask.
I think that's also, from my perspective, I think that's an annoying pain in the ass thing as well. But it's far less painful than hooking up a PA of some kind or an amp and then miking it, right? Because so many things, there's so many opportunities to make it sound terrible,
but also unique. Also unique. A MIDI mode going through a properly amped setup is a thing of beauty. That's gets Keith Emerson. That's Wakeman. Or going through a Leslie.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's not for everybody.
I don't know if you take an ELP, album where he was using the Moog modular, right? Lucky Man. So how was Lucky Man recorded? I have no freaking clue. But I suspect that they probably had the amp there. I don't see him standing in the studio with headphones on in that case. But maybe. It's possible. Probably went through some sort of amplification so he could hear it in the room. So I guess that's a question. I don't even know if Lucky Man was multi-tracked. Or was that
So even if you set aside the specific studio version of Lucky Man, there are certainly live recordings of ELP, and you are getting the synthesizers going through the sound system.
I don't know if that's true, though, because the live recordings, they record off the board, right? That's a common practice. I don't know
There's almost always room ambience in a live recording.
Sure, but they bring, you got to hear the crowd roar. If you're going to record a live album, right, I'm pretty sure they record off the board, and then they have the mic for the crowd and the stage mics, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
When is your album going to come out that demonstrates this?
Well, so I have the first step of this, which is because I primarily I like using hardware synthesizers. I will sometimes record the MIDI and the hardware at the same time. I'll often go and muck with the MIDI in my DAW, and I'll have to re-record the audio. So I'm already at the step where if I wanted to go and re-record the audio, but I want to have the audio different because I want to just mic that setup, I could do that relatively straightforwardly because of the project. So I'm already halfway into the I have to go through another pass of recording the audio for my synthesizers anyway. And as far as when you're going to hear this, I'm having a little problem with the composition stage, but I probably experiment with it.
I mean, I've got a reamping box, like the little box that you plug line level into, and it takes it down to instrument level, so you can put it back into an amp, right? I have one of those because I use it when I demo pedals that are not happy with line level input.
Sure.
Right, so I'll put it into that. I'll run the line level, synth into the reamp box, and then
I always forget instrument level's hotter than line level, right?
No, it's
the opposite.
much lower. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Although when you get into impedances, there's a difference in impedance as well, and I don't know. I think instrument level signal is very high impedance, whereas line level is higher voltage peak to peak, but also lower impedance, I think. I don't know. Not an EE. Not an audio engineer. But I don't know. Might be fun. I don't want it because I don't have the space for an amp.
No, I understand.
Right. I had, oh my God. I had one of the old Roland, was it RB, RK? The big navy blue velvet fur carpet covered, with the big black steel grill in the front.
I haven't seen one of those in years.
The big, it had like a 15-inch speaker and a little horn tweeter in it, and it was like 400 watts or something like that. I used that with my modular for 6 months until I realized I am far too weak to lug this thing around.
There is that.
And I sold it. And honestly, it was loud, but it didn't sound great. I'm spoiled by headphones, right? I like a flat response, and you just don't get that with a PA.
You sure don't. I'm not. I'm sorry if it's coming across as. I'm not proposing that this is a. That what I'm suggesting should be the normal recording procedure that people want to go experience, or the synthesizers should be exploring this. Synthesis should be exploring it, but it is there. It is a thing that could be done, and for the amount of twisting and turning, and when people are using going out of their amp into pedals and then recording the output from that, or perseverating over mixers that they want to get the preamps for, it strikes me that while you're really tipping your toe into the problem that electric guitarists and electric bassists have been struggling with for years. But also that's where the best tones in those genres come from.
Well,
so especially if you're in a monophonic.
Well, hang on there. The best tones from the genre come from that. So, in
the guitarist realms, it's very rare that people like DI guitar work.
Well, it's becoming fairly prevalent. I did consume some guitar tech audio engineer's video. I don't think it was. What's his name? Screamy long-haired guy.
Spectre Audio.
Spectre Audio, yeah. What's his name?
Glenn, Glenn
Fricker.
Yeah. My favorite Canadian.
He is super entertaining and more than a little helpful, I think. But I did consume a video from him and, whoever the canonical stand-ups are. Oh, JHS, Josh Scott. There are, and while I was researching... some pickups so I'm interested in getting a guitar. And I was looking at pickups because I don't want to deal with a lot of RF noise and things like that. And I watched a couple videos on active pickups from EMG and a couple videos from active pickups from whoever makes Fluence, them. And I saw a number of videos where, at least in the metal domain, which is not the domain I work in, but in the metal domain, there are a lot more guitarists going direct into the board, and using a modeler, because the modeler is already doing the simulation of the speaker stuff.
It is.
So
and IRs.
And why do they do that? They do that because actually miking an amp is a pain in the ass. And
It's
easy,
hard
and easy to screw up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And bass. Come on now. And bass has been going direct for a long time, or at least blending.
Certainly since McCartney.
Blending direct and not and amped.
Every once in a while, though, I can definitely hear the difference between a bass that's going through it like an Ampeg and one that's going direct. Sting did a lot of direct work. McCartney did a lot of direct work, but you can definitely hear.
Sure, there's a sound. It's like my bass sound is a blend of direct and not direct, right? And I'm using the sampled bass.
Right.
But I hear you. So wait, so what are you proposing? You're proposing that synths should try this?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's my supposition is if you're gonna go rummaging around getting your stuff recording out to some kind of crappy tape recorder and then pulling that sound back into your DAW anyway.
Yeah.
Why not go Pall Mall and just get some fun stuff?
I'm going to mic the speakers.
Yeah.
Super close.
All right. Well.
So I get a lot of proximity effect.
Okay.
But I'm going to mic the speakers on the Ableton Move because they're so small. You have to get it really close to get any bass from the proximity stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So there'll be a lot of noise. Noise floor will be very high on that because I'll have to turn the gain way up to pick up that tiny speaker.
Just mic your headphones.
Yeah. Just cram a mic in the headphones. I'm just going to put the headphones around a condenser. It'll just muff right onto the front and back. I'm sure we'll get no phase cancellation.
So what? Only if it's stereo. If it's just mono, if one mic, you'll be fine.
No, I mean feeding the mic by putting the headphones on, right?
Yeah, there'll be issues. It does. One could imagine going way down the rabbit hole of crazy. You could build a model recording room and put your headphones in there, and then mic that to try to get the reflections off the wall.
I suppose. Yeah.
That's a sort of interesting project.
Well, I mean, I don't know of any concrete examples, but I know anecdotally of stories of, how did we record this? Oh, we ran the mic down the hall into the bathroom of the studio.
Oh, Led Zeppelin did that all the time. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think around my house, like what kind of rooms have an interesting, like,
the bathrooms
IR.
Are good.
The bathroom, maybe. I'm thinking the garage.
But you're absolutely right.
The songs from the woodshed, literally.
Yeah. Well, I helped a buddy build a basement studio just to get better. We actually did get we recorded drums in there. It did sound amazingly good for the time. So this just sort of was a thing that occurred to me.
That's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but also when I start seeing people pull out pedals and analog gear, and they're already leaving the all digital domain to warm up you can't see this on the video.
Your finger quotes
warm up the sound.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, well, yeah, but warming up the sound with a speaker and then miking the speaker gives you a strong control over the sound, or strongly colors the sound.
Yeah.
Both for better or for worse. Okay.
Mulch.
There you go.
I look forward to hearing what you do. Maybe I might play with it, but honestly, I'm super lazy. The only speakers I have for sound reinforcement are these old Rocket 5s, which, I don't know, maybe.
You did have that quad set up for a little while.
Oh, yeah. I sold the subs.
Oh, okay.
I sold the subs because they weren't matched either. I had Rocket 5s as the satellites.
Yeah.
And because I was cheap, I bought Behringer subs.
Sure.
Except they were garbage. They were really bad. And I could never get them paired. Like the Behringer frequency range and the crossover stuff I just couldn't get it matched. So I ended up selling them and buying an actual KRK sub, but I've only got the one, and I don't have the quad ring anymore. So. But
you're also right that synthesis tend to be the ones we run into are often just working in a bedroom studio or a very small studio that doesn't necessarily have amazing acoustics to it.
Yeah.
Some do though. Our friend Wabbit is in a basement, and I'm a little curious what the acoustics are in that basement.
Yeah. Drop ceiling. It's the drop ceiling tone, man. Wood paneling too, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a sound. It could be an aesthetic. I mean, it depends. I'm not suggesting that you'll get. I'm suggesting the opposite. This isn't about getting high fidelity sound. This is about getting a sort of
texture.
Oh, I had this monophonic synth, and I like it, but what else can I get out of it? And this might be an area of exploration beyond your LFOs and beyond.
We'll see. I look forward to hearing your output.
Sure.
We'll just
So the last couple of times I recorded guitar, I mic'd it.
Yeah.
I actually ran it out through a speaker and mic'd the speaker. And there are things I like. It's. You're absolutely right. I'm not against modelers too. Modelers are great and IRs are good. You have to be but the problem or the advantage of IRs is you get one sound out of the IR. That's what it's there for. Yeah, you can tweak it a little bit, you can stretch the IR, and you can play with it a little bit. But it's not quite the same as moving a mic a millimeter from one side to another of the cone, or using two mics. It's I can see you can't see this on the recording. Luke is looking at me extremely skeptically, like I'm trying to sell him a bridge in Brooklyn.
It's not skeptical. It's just I don't know. I'm just lazy. It's not skeptical. That's my lazy face. I'm just like, sounds good. You have fun with that.
Yeah, I might.
I look forward to. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah,
but I can't see myself going to that much effort. Right?
I got it.
Like I am. I mean, I have a hard time recording just hardware into a line in, right? As opposed to using a VSD.
Yeah.
But we'll see where it goes. But
then you also went through a great shedding of many of your effects pedals for a very similar reason, I think. Like, it doesn't match your workflow.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I still have a bunch of effects pedals, and I like them, and then one day I'll get around to making more videos about them. I had some guy ask me a couple weeks ago, he's like, are you ever going to do more pedal shorts? And I'm like, oh, I could, but I really enjoy playing with pedals as toys. Like,
sure.
When the synth is running through the monitors in the studio, sticking a pedal in line between it and the inputs is super fun.
Yeah.
But I don't have to care too much about fidelity there.
Right.
And, I'd say 50% of the pedals I have still clip if I don't use the reamping thing. And I get that's, again, first world problems. It's like, then I got to go dig it out of the closet and, figure out where it is. And it takes up space on the table. I'm horizontal space constrained, right? The surface area is thin. But I don't know. I may fiddle with it. You know what I did? I am regretting. I gave away all those Joyo pedals as for, Easter or Christmas stocking stuffers. I went looking for one the other day. I'm like, where's that goddamn clone distortion pedal? I really want to hook that up to this Mini Moog right now. And I'm like, oh, god damn it, I gave that away. So, oh well.
Do you want to borrow mine?
No, I'm all right. I tried to use the Lizard Queen fuzz. Mm-hmm. That absolutely does not work with synths, because unless you really like, it's not that it's strong, it's that it wants the super high impedance.
Oh, okay.
And it really wants line level. So I could turn the synth way down, like on a scale of 1 to 12 or whatever the Mini Moog goes to. I had it on like 1.
Yeah.
And it was close to what I wanted, but the impedance wasn't matching up right, and so it was just real spitty.
Yeah.
Just breaking up kind of sound.
Well, that's the aesthetic, though. Yeah, that's the new sound.
Well, I mean, if you want to, like, the Mini Moog is not dynamic, doesn't have a dynamic range that's anything near enough to be useful for a fuzz pedal.
Sure.
Like, on a guitar, you have the volume knob to deal with, but like also how hard you strike the strings makes such a broad dynamic range. I could not do that, even using velocity to try and, have loud and quiet notes, just doesn't work. So I'm like, all right, I need an actual distortion, something that's not quite so impedance dependent. But it just means I need to buy another pedal.
You would, so as much as I'm talking about the extraordinary efforts you would need to go into to record the analog output of your audio from a synthesizer, and how much, like, part of that does interest me. The idea of using any effects pedals with synthesizers is absolutely not interesting to me. We just had someone post on our Discord, somebody, they're showing their rig and how their synthesizers go out to this set of pedals for effects, and it's a perfectly valid setup, but it just makes me cringe. For me personally, thinking about trying to manage that.
Well, some people, I mean, there's an overhead to pedal management, right? And if you've ever seen any of the photos that I posted of how I manage my cables, audio, MIDI, power cables, you know I'm terrible at things that are, to do right requires a certain level of management cost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hear you. But, so I did a video a long time ago about macro versus micro pedals, meaning highly opinionated pedals that do a lot of processing, macro pedals. So like the Mood Mark II is a macro pedal in my book. But like a distortion pedal or a Boss Chorus is a micro pedal. It does one thing, it does it well. It's multi-algorithm chain effects. What's the one that everyone loves? It's a white box with 4 knobs with primary colors on them, and it's like
the color box?
No, not that. This is a delay, grainer, reverber. It's octave shimmer thing. It's the hologram.
Oh, the hologram, yeah.
The hologram, I think, is it, or maybe hologram's the company, and it's the pedal.
I know what you're, like Cosmos or something like that.
Something, yeah. And so I'm a terrible person, I guess, synth nerd wise, because it's not coming to mind. Everyone loves it. Microcosm hologram. I think that might be it.
That might be it. Yeah.
Or the hologram microcosm. I don't know. People really love that thing, and it's in a million racks. You see it everywhere. But it's this macro control that I could. If I wanted to do that, I'll do that in the box.
Yeah.
Having a pedal that does it,
those are expensive pedals. They're never cheap.
Yeah, they're at least $500.
And that means you can only use one instrument at a time with it. And it drives me bananas because the VST is usually the same cost, and I can use that with any number.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm very cheap. Have I mentioned that part?
Yeah, no. I hear you. I mean, I just bought a Wampler VST for their pedal because I wanted a Wampler Univibe. And it was easier for me to just get the VST than doing that, and then I can apply it everywhere, which it would be a mistake, but doing things to excess is okay.
Yeah.
But
if you don't do it to excess, how do you know you've reached the excess?
Yeah.
You see, so it's really science.
Yeah. None of what is this? Moderation is for monks, man. Take life in big bites. Use all the pedals. My power supply is the Strymon Ojai, this little blue box that supports, I think, 9 volts at whatever the right milliamperage is,
Sure.
And so my surface area is constrained, the tabletop, so I've got room for an Ojai and 5 pedals, basically, next to, it's the table's next to the Mini Moog and the Subsequent, and I tend to use the Subsequent, and 5 is 5 micro concept pedals, 5, single purpose pedals. You could do interesting things and mix and match and combinatorial movement in and out. I cannot imagine what I would do with 5 microcosms, right? Or 5 things, get the night sky and a microcosm and a Maris whatever. And it's like, that's cool. I mean, the gear is cool for sure, but I have no desire to do that level of chaining. I'll just run it into Ableton and start chaining Max for Live devices.
At the risk of you losing your lunch, when I was a guitarist, yeah, I understand. So I did have a phaser, I had a flanger,
sure,
I had a chorus.
These are the classics.
A delay,
yeah.
A wah, a distortion.
Yeah.
No compressor because I was an idiot, and no noise gate because I was an idiot. But they were also more expensive in those days.
Sure.
And yeah, those sometimes would all go on at once.
Well, I think that's that goes with the shtick, though. That's the guitar image. You got a pedal board.
Yeah. I guess I really wanted white noise, apparently. That's really what I wanted out of my guitar.
Okay. All right. So, all right. I haven't watched the video from them yet. So it says the premise is AI. The streaming companies are going to be using AI music, the generated AI music, and interspersing it into the human artist stuff with the idea that if they can maintain their listener subscriptions, they can eventually phase out, like for every
or minimize.
Well, yeah, for every one AI artist that plays out of 10 plays, that's a 10% savings profit wise because it's them. They don't have to pay any royalties there.
Yeah.
All right, so that makes perfect business sense, and I have no issues with that.
And their argument is, you know, the AI stuff is so it's so good at being imitative that you may not notice it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're just like, if you weren't listening that carefully, and the song that came on that sounded like it was from Kanye West, you might not question that it was.
Well, so like it's another form of music, right?
It is not.
It's just another form of music, and what will happen is the people who are paying for subscriptions are going to decide with their dollars whether or not they want music in their thing. And they'll either end their subscription or, and the artists may leave the platform.
That may be.
And if the artists leave the platform, then the listeners are actually deciding whether or not they want to subscribe to music. And if that's good for them, fine. That's a viable model. Music was a thing. For however long. It probably still exists. I don't know what's up with music these days, or if who eventually absorbed it.
I would think the AI is the significant threat to music, traditional music.
Yeah, for sure.
That seems like a no-brainer.
But so like music has sort of become, in some ways, this is my opinion, music feels, at least pop music, feels as though it has been turned into something that's less about the artist's efforts to create music and more about the artist's brand.
I don't disagree.
And that's okay. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, Elvis certainly had a brand, right? But there is people like you and me, of which I don't know what percentage of music listeners are like you and me. I'm going to say some percentage. I don't want to say we're special, but I also don't want to say we're everything. We're not unique snowflakes, but we're definitely not the average consumer of streaming music these days. But listeners like you and me, I think, are interested in the song. Is it a good song? Does it move us? But we're always interested in the artist. Like, what's the story of this artist? Where are they from? How did they write this? Like, is there a theme to, is it an album? Is there a concept going on there? Is it a series? You know, we eat that stuff up, right?
Yeah.
And I think there will always be a market for that.
I do too.
My son, who is 24, is a fan of conceptual music, right? You know, music with some sort of concept, not necessarily concept albums,
right?
But he sends me, check out this video from this artist, and he's like, and they have a interesting catalog. He's talking about their body of work. He's not talking about the single,
right?
So I don't think it'll ever go away, and I'm not going to be.
But just to be clear, because I'm not sure you gave totally the right impression. Fantano was sort of saying, you know, his is how, because he's a little bit of a,
Fantana's he's the
internet
nerd.
Interview it was Beato interviewing Fantano over like Skype or whatever.
Okay.
So his position was just like hey, this is an example of the music industry screwing over artists because they don't have to pay royalties on the AI schlop, even though the AI schlop is trained on.
Is that screwing over artists? Like, the artist keeps getting paid every time their stream is played, right? So it's not like it's taking them away. It's the company is choosing to play fewer streams from artists.
Yeah.
Now, will that impact the bottom line for a lot of artists? Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I don't know how many artists actually make any livable wage off of Spotify.
Yeah, well, I certainly didn't. I pulled my stuff from them a year ago when they instituted you must have a certain number of streams in order to get paid. You have to reach a minimum.
Right.
And it was like, okay, well, why was I on Spotify? I was on Spotify for the same reason I'm currently still on Apple Music. It's vanity. Like, I like the idea of being able to go to my family and say, yeah, you could just find me on Apple Music or Spotify. But Spotify's business practices, while not, I don't consider them necessarily evil, the ones that I'm aware of.
But they're not for you.
But it's not serving. I do not consume. I want it on the platforms that I consume that I know my family consumes. Nobody in my family uses Spotify. They're Apple Music and YouTube people. So it's like, all right, I'm there. But I don't think that they're taking money out of. They're not taking food out of a musician's mouth. To your point, nobody's making that much money to buy a lot of food off of their Spotify earnings, you know?
No, and I actually go back to what you were saying. I really think Spotify, I think they're trying to hone in on the people who would be satisfied with music. I think that's their business. I think that's what they're slowly getting to. It's not for the connoisseur.
Or they're certainly testing the concept, and that's fine. It doesn't cost them much.
Right. And you can just... Spotify is, they've never been about supporting the music community. They've been about commercializing the product. I'm sorry, I'm not going to budge on that one. They've never struck me
maybe long ago, maybe at their inception, I think
SoundCloud is more pro-artist than Spotify. Sure. Spotify is predatory.
Certainly, I don't know. I certainly get that feeling, and that's why I pulled my stuff from them. But I like to have hope that maybe back in the day, the initial startup that was Spotify had a goal of let's get musicians heard. Or maybe not. Maybe it was always just, they have to be a viable business. So it's like the penultimate goal is, does the business make money? And how long were they non-profit? They were unprofitable for a really long time, if I remember correctly.
That was the style of the times.
Yeah. 2002.
Last FM, yeah.
Anyway. When did Spotify? Let's ask our AI overlords. When did Spotify, the company, originate?
Spotify was founded in 2006.
All right.
I buy that.
So Spotify was founded around the same time that the startup I worked for was partnered with Enron.
Nice. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Awesome.
That is fun. So, I'm sorry. So again,
go back to the discussion. So it's Beato and who?
It's Beato and Anthony Fantano.
Okay, who I've only watched 2 videos of ever.
Oh.
He's a music critic.
He's really a music critic. He's not a musician.
Okay.
So he's like the angry guy that used to pour your coffee and would go to all the shows, but not really be a musician himself.
Yeah.
You know that guy.
You want to use that old chestnut, those who can do, those who can't become critics. Right.
But he's very left and he's very anti-corporation. So that's just as biased you should know when you're listening to
That's his politics. Okay.
Yeah, it's the politics of it. And Beato's he's a little bit more like us. He's a little older and wiser, and
Oh, I wouldn't say we're wiser, but okay.
Than Fantano.
Oh,
Fantano still is like the world should. After 50, if you still believe the world, if you're still expecting the world to be just, then I don't think you've been paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sort of over the... Anyway, so you just see that in Fantano, just like...
He's not nihilistic.
He's still angry about the corporations want to make money, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
All right, so he's definitely...
That ship has sailed for me.
He's not Gen X, okay.
He's not Gen X, but he does a good impersonation of one. Right. That's as far I got. 3/4 through the video, and that was their sort of contention going back and forth about like, well, I can't believe Spotify, Mostly, I think they were doing that podcast the way we were to maybe jump on the AI train because people are obsessed with AI. I ran into another person who's another AI kind of critic and just be like, yeah, it's great. It's a great version of Markov chains. You people need to settle down. There are applications for it. but we're not near the singularity. If you think we're near the singularity, then you have a shit idea what the singularity is.
I like AI. I'm fine with it.
I think, but you use it in your expectations. There are people who thinks it's a magic thinking box, and I'm like, it is not that. That is not how you use AI. No. And that's I also like AI, but people have unrealistic expectations of what it can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works great for music because music isn't necessarily synthesis so much as it is remixing of ideas and concepts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people have said there's no original music. Everything is derivative of things that came before. And maybe not. I don't know all the music being created out there.
Derivative, I take issue with the word derivative. That's because I've been thinking about this very...
So I'll clarify. Rather, if derivative is offensive, I'll say inspired on previous work.
It has to be.
Standing on the shoulders of those who came before.
If it wouldn't, you wouldn't recognize it as music.
Right. Yeah. Right? So, and I just think of AI as an automated way of generating something that is doing that.
I don't have a problem. I think there are people who are going to use AI in amazingly creative ways. And you will know it because it'll stand out and be like, oh, that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
Apparently, Kanye is using some AI generated, like he's outsourced a lot of his writing to other people, and now he's using AI to generate his voice.
Whatever.
So it's really his, Kanye's branded music. It's what it is going to be. It's just like, this is my branded content.
I couldn't tell you the name of a Kanye song right now. The only thing I know about Kanye is that he dissed Taylor Swift at one point.
He did.
And I know that because my wife is a Taylor Swift fan.
He did.
That's all I know.
His dark, twisted fantasy.
I know everything I know about Conway I learned from South Park.
Also very, very good. I don't care. I'm not a stan for him, but his album Dark Twisted Fantasy is very good. Not the least of which it samples King Crimson. So 21st Century Schizoid Man. Oh, yeah. We didn't see that one coming.
So sampling. Not a fan. I'm just not a fan. You know?
I know, man. I'm getting more crotchety about it. I'm going back and listening to the '90s stuff. I'm like,
well, I mean, like Run DMC, Walk This Way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I like that song. It's a good song.
Yeah.
I would say that the Run DMC version I enjoy more than the Aerosmith that it's sampled from.
Sure.
But like, I don't think it's more of a novelty. It's like listening to a Weird Al Yankovic song. It's like, this is sort of a parody of what the other thing is. It's just not funny, and it's serious.
I'm about to go on a Beastie Boys jag.
Okay, so, you go. So I was never a Beastie Boys fan.
I wasn't either.
I have friends who are like, you have to listen to this album, and I'm just, it's not my thing. It's not my style.
It's dumb party music, and that's all I'm like, I find it very distracting, and that's what I want right now.
Probably because when I was a teenager in junior high school and high school, in junior high school is when Beastie Boys were like breaking out and becoming popular. I was never invited to those kind of parties, right? Because I was a nerd.
Luke, hit me. You're talking. I'm right there with you, buddy. I didn't like the Beasties until I would say I started liking them when I heard Sabotage enough. But I was still dismissive of them until literally like a week ago. When I was listening to that stuff.
Did you just say Sabotage?
Sabotage. Yeah,
no, the Beastie Boys song Sabotage. I'm sorry, there is a band, Savatage, which is definitely in the prog rock nerd vein.
Whoa, I have to go look that up.
Yep. I don't know any. Other than Fight for the Right to Party, that's the only Beastie Boys song I really can pull off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm going to be getting the greatest hits of. Like, I don't need to. So my point is, all that's sampled, and it's hitting me badly, that piece of it. Yeah. Specifically that, like, okay, so you took a drum pattern off another old LP. Oh, you did it again. Oh, you slowed it down. Maybe it's the same one. And then I get grumpy about samples.
I'm okay. I can understand samples as sound collage, taking a sample and chopping, chopping significantly to transform, like a significant transformation of the sample. I'm like, cool, as long as it's not recognizable blatantly as like, that's from here.
That's what I'm saying. When you bring a
who sampled who did Under Pressure?
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice, yeah. So like that is like, it's like, no, you lose. I'm sorry.
You could have had a bass player, any session player, do that for you.
Well, yeah, that stuff doesn't move me. But like, trying to think of someone who does like transformative sampling that
This Fatboy
really like.
Slim is usually a little bit more crafty with it.
Oh yeah, a lot
Daft
of the
Punk was a little bit more crafty with it.
A lot of the drum and bass, yeah. So Daft Punk's a good example, right?
Yeah.
Their stuff, there's tons of samples in there, and I didn't know until years after I started enjoying Daft Punk that they were sampling from other people. I just didn't know because they were sampling things that were uncommon, right? Weren't blatantly out there. And I have to say, when I learned that they were doing that, I was a little sad.
Me too.
Right? I was like, I love your music, but it is less for me now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a culture and a
It is.
core value thing. Like, if you grew up in a culture where that's clearly a normalized method of composition, then you don't care, and that's fine. I just didn't grow up in those cultures, right?
I've thought about this too much, and my problem with it is it's inherently referential. I feel like your music doesn't stand on your own if you're sampling and you're saying, "Oh, here's my take on it."
Well, what about like plagiarizing? Like even homage plagiarizing? So like what's all the oh shoot, what's an example of like a 60s or 70s song that is actually just like a classical piece set to boogie woogie, right? Or
sure,
there's tons of them.
Billy Joel did that too. Paul Simon did that a bunch too. Ripped off classical. Yeah.
So like, how do I feel about that? It's like, it's still not great. There are no songs that I pull out. There's a difference between lifting inadvertently. Like we've all done it, right? I'm like, I just wrote this song, and then you release it, and then a week later, it's like, oh crap, I was thinking of this melody from this chord progression.
Or sometimes you just get lucky, and you're literally.
Well, and some cadences are cadences, right?
Yeah.
There are things that are like, these are universal, they're used all over the place. So as a counter argument, if you treat samples as cadences, like what's the canonical sampled drum beat?
The Amen break.
The Amen break, right. Amen break is a cadence, basically, right? Andalusian cadence plus Amen break equals new song, right? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So now I've talked myself fully around in a circle. Maybe I am okay with sampling, but I was still disappointed when I found out that Daft Punk was doing a lot of sampling.
I'm with you.
So
here's the difference. If you play the music, I'm more inclined to be happy with what you did, because almost unless you intentionally made it note perfect, like studio musician perfect for you, because I'm like, just put your spin on it, man. I don't care that it's Louie Louie. Just put a spin on it.
Yeah.
And that's all I really. And the problem I'm getting with sampling, which I think you were getting at this, is it doesn't feel, even with a heavy chopping up, I'm not always convinced you did enough work to transform it. And I really don't like the Amen break stuff now, because I'm like, dude, just program it. Everyone knows how to program the Amen break. Just program it so it's new.
I do not.
There are videos. You can go get the MIDI file if you really wanted to. You could get it.
Oh my God, there's a MIDI chord pack for the Amen break?
Yes.
I'm so there. We could do Amen break in any key.
Congas. Yeah. But and I know people are like, well, but I'm not getting I want to use the sample because I want to refer, and I'm like, it's the referring to the music that came before feels like stolen valor to me, and it will never not feel like that. But the jazz guys have been stealing chord progressions forever and putting a new melody on it.
For me, jazz is like this black box that I don't understand.
I didn't either until someone just break it down. I'm like, oh yeah, there's only like 100 jazz standards, and then they just keep recycling them. And I'm like, oh, you explained why I don't like jazz.
Yeah, The concept of like the fake book, or I guess what is the book of jazz standards?
No, the fake book.
Is it the fake book?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like That's
the
like
real fake book or something.
the really real fake book. There's an analogous thing in traditional Irish music, right? That is tunes, right? So you learn the tune. A former coworker here, Mr. Bacon, writes original tunes, but in my time, the brief time that I got to play in a band with him, he knows hundreds, if not thousands of tunes, and he goes to an Irish session and everyone knows these things. It's exactly like the fake book jazz standards, right? It's like they all know. Doesn't matter if you play, guitar, penny whistle, bouzouki, whatever, everybody knows the tune. And that's kind of cool from a cultural perspective and a community perspective. So I understand why jazz guys are the community of jazz guys, because like we all have this common language. And same with the session guys. So it may be the same thing for the sampling people. They have this common language. They know where they're pulling this stuff from.
Yeah. And it is right. I mean, it is. So as much as I'm shitty about it, like I don't like it because it feels like stolen valor. On the other hand, they've cobbled together undeniably a culture and a language that they all understand.
Yeah. I mean, the EDM community in the same way when it comes to like timbres and stuff. Like certain sounds, like Reese bass.
Yeah, my son is deeply into that. Like he's like, oh no, I got to get this sound font because that's what my community of people is listening to.
That's what everyone is. How do you make? That's what we need to do. We need to start a band that does traditional Irish jazz standards in the hyper style.
Hyper Celtic.
Hyper Celtic cat. Right? You're a cool hyper Celtic cat if you can do a hyper version of this Celtic song. Of this or Celtic instrumentation of this jazz standard. It's awesome, right? God, I swear to God, I bet. What's her name? The experimental artist who is now carrying the torch. Who's going to come next? She passed it. I think she passed it on in my headcanon. She passed on the torch to Caitlin Aurelia Smith. Not Tori Amos. She came after Tori Amos.
Do you mean
Imogen Heap? Yeah. I see Imogen Heap's next album's going to be totally the Celtic jazz.
That's not impossible.
Hyper standard.
That is not impossible.
She's going to control it all from her power glove. Have you seen that?
I have. It's amazing. I think it's great.
Awesome.
I was hoping you were going to make fun. I'm like, I think that thing is outstanding.
It is cool. I like people who do that crazy stuff.
I almost want that for my office work. Like, that's awesome.
A long time ago, we, at the Makerspace in Somerville near where I lived, a couple of us put together a bunch of Max MSP scripts that would talk to and take the data from, what's the Xbox 360?
Oh, the Kinect.
The Kinect. Yeah, the Kinect camera. And so we bought a bunch of Kinect cameras. Wired it into at Max MSP and then used that to do this generative stuff that we did there, right? So like the whole experimentation place is super fun to be, but at the end of the day, the real effort is in taking that and then productizing the music that comes out of it, and I just wasn't motivated enough to do it.
No. Oh God. I mean, well now we'll see. Comes back. More and more, I think of music as a big game, and it's like a deck of cards. There's a bunch of different games people play with it, and the whole Imogen Heap. I'm like, you spent a lot of time working on the technology. Now let's hear what you're going to do with it.
Yeah,
and
but she does the thing. She does stuff too. She goes on performs, right?
She does. I think it's because she stopped on the tool space, and now she's like focused on the composition space.
Oh yeah, who else do we know that like I want to make music, but I'm sort of obsessed with tooling. That's like the entire community around the synth seeker space.
There's a whole Discord about
Oh my God. What, how long ago? I guess it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, that people were like, there's so many conversations about PC building for building like your DAW system. We ended up moving it all, shunt it all to a channel. It's like, this is fine, guys. You keep talking about that, but keep it over here.
I believe there's a channel just for diagrams of your studio.
There is a channel just for diagrams of your studio. So I am super happy so on the Discord server, right, there's the macro channels and the micro channels, right? And I am very happy with the solution of having micro channels that can be very, very topic specific, and then having these generalized macro channels. I'm really pleased with that.
I am too.
Brief pause. Hold on. I just need to check.
I'm surprised she's not here.
I need to stalk my wife on the phone and see if she is presently near us. Let's see. I love the fact. So technology is so This would be creepy in most situations, but my wife and I could just go find my wife.
I am trying to get my family to use that more.
It's fantastic.
I use it all the time to see where they are. Because my wife will ask, she'll call me, where are you? And I'm like, you know where I am.
My wife is currently 2 miles from our current location, vectoring west at, there's no way to estimate her speed, but it's whatever the speed limit is on that road there.
Nice.
She's headed this way, so her ETA is whatever 2 minutes travel time at 35. Oh, there's the alert that says your wife is near. Well, let's see. It's almost 1 o'clock. Perhaps we should take a walk.
All right. Do you want to turn off the recorder?
Oh, I forgot it was recording.
So there you go.
All right. Woo-hoo. Hey, instant podcast. All right. Talk to you later. So this is Luke again. I hope you found that entertaining or thought-provoking or, I don't know, anything but boring. But hey, if it was that too, let us know. If you enjoy this sort of thing, say so we can make some more in the future. But regardless, thank you for helping Taskboy 3000. Joe, your conversation with you is always stimulating. And I know we'll continue to have them in the future, regardless of whether they get turned into these sort of podcast recordings. But thanks, everyone, and I hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening to Synth Seeker. Have a great day.